How to make your Seder fun, engaging, and meaningful. Knock knock. Who's there? Eliyahu. Eliyahu. Eliyahu Hanavi. How about this one? A boy living in Queensland calls up his dad in Sydney and says, "Dad, how are things going for you? How are your preparations for Passover coming along?" The father says, "Son, I've actually got some bad news for you. Mum and I, after 50 years of marriage, are getting divorced." The son says, "What do you mean, Dad? I've never noticed any cracks in your marriage. Where does this come from?" The father says, "I don't want to get into the details now. Just believe me, it's not going to work out. We're getting divorced." The son says, "Dad, please don't do anything. I'm coming straight up to Sydney. I'm going to tell my sister we're going to be there for Pesach. Don't do anything until we get there." The father hangs up the phone and turns to his wife and says, "Honey, I've got great news. The kids are coming for Pesach and they're even paying for their own tickets." And of course we all know the famous one about a certain individual who the Queen is bestowing knighthood upon. He's been very generous over the years, and he's been told he has to memorize one Latin phrase that he will recite when he gets the tap on the shoulder from the Queen. And so there he is that day. He's kneeling alongside some other knights or potential knights, and suddenly he gets a tap on the shoulder. He looks up and there's the Queen at mental blank. He can't remember the Latin phrase, and he's thinking, what am I going to say? And suddenly the only other phrase in another language pops into his mind, and he looks up at her and he says, "Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol halaylot?" To which this Queen turns to her advisor and says, "Why is this night different to all other nights?" There you go. A bit of humor can spice up your Seder. But here are some other methods that you can do to make your Seder engaging and meaningful. Number one, you can get dressed up. You or some guests can come dressed to a certain theme. You can also have your walls decorated. You can have pictures of certain images to do with Pesach. On your tables, you can have props. So when it comes time to the 10 plagues, you can throw around some of the wild animals, some hail, or you can get dressed up with sunglasses for the plague of darkness. These are just a few things you can do to make your Seder more interesting and engage the children, most importantly. And lastly, you can also have some engaging discussion. You can have discussion questions that center around the themes of Pesach, such as freedom. Who are those who are free today? Who are the modern day slaves? What would our ancestors think of us today? And how we celebrate Pesach? There are many discussions that you can have around the table to engage those present. And also you can have fun games. You can have something that I'm going to try out this year, which is called Celebrity Heads. You can tie a banner around a person's head, put a certain picture with a Pesach theme on it, and the person who can't see what he's wearing will have to have asked 10 questions, yes or no questions, to try and figure out or guess what is the item upon their heads. These are a few ideas. I'm sure you can think of many more. I wish you a wonderful, joyous, and meaningful Pesach. Chag Sameach.